Welcome to the Literally First Class podcast, where I will teach you how to overcome anxiety and achieve somatic success. I'm your host, Keri Ford. I'm a somatic success and holistic life coach here to bring humor, insight, and wisdom to the modern day woman that wants to feel alive in her daily life. You ready? Come on, I saved you a seat in first class. Okay, so this week I have a really special guest. We're having a pop-up party in first class, which I'm so excited about. And also, wouldn't you know, we had to wait 15 minutes to do this because the fucking lawnmowers were outside. They are here all the time. They haunt me. I must have some spiritual block and manifest it. Okay. So the guest that I have here today is an absolute powerhouse woman. We actually met through a live event that she was hosting at the Gaylord Opry. This woman is a powerhouse. I have watched her quantum leap over and over again, well before you and I were able to come into contact. And I have the absolute privilege of calling this woman a dear friend and also being part of her journey, coach and client. So welcome, Kimberly Olson.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited you're here. So for those that don't know you, that are new to your world, why don't you share what you do and how you do it?
Sure. Yeah, I would love to. So I have a company called Gold Digger Girl Co. I started it 5 years ago. Well, in the spring of 2018. I got into the online space in 2011, had a YouTube channel, a blog, didn't make any money, right? I was like, I'm going to quit my job. And yeah, that didn't work. So I had to go back to corporate again. And after I had my second baby, so I finally realized like I was ready to change our family tree and our story. Grew up in poverty, carried that into adulthood. I enlisted professional support to overcome a decade long of alcohol abuse. And it was like finally where I was like, I'm worth it. Like I'm done telling myself I suck and all the things. And so when I did that work on myself, it was just like the floodgates open. Like I was like, I'm amazing. I'm going to go change the world. So I got my family out of debt. I hit 6 figures in 90 days, went on to, get to the multi-millions. And I've been able to impact a lot of women in the process. So my specialty is more that beginner entrepreneur. And so it's the woman who's like, I know there's more for me and I want the book and the podcast and maybe do, coaching, consulting, but I don't know how to do that. And so specifically social media. So I really have a lot of women who they know that there's something there, but they don't know how to do it. And so my strength is actually working with the beginner, which is kind of cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. So 90 days, you hit 6 figures. What was that like?
It was crazy. And I was just, here's my PayPal. Like there was no landing page. There's no website. My logo was the Gold Digger Girl, but it looked like the Goat Digger Girl because I used word swag to make it. I mean, it was a hot mess, but I was just running with my hair on fire. And I was so determined to make it work. And when I found my niche of like teaching beginner social media, it was like, it just fell all into place. It was pretty cool.
That's so funny. My other company, and you and I have had a laugh about this with our fitness backgrounds. It was called Ignite Girls. And the tagline was spark your inner athlete. For whatever reason, my dad thought the tagline said spank your inner athlete. I was like, this is not, at the time, OnlyFans didn't exist, but I was like, this isn't fucking OnlyFans. Spank your inner athlete, Ignite Girls.
Yeah. That's what I want to do.
I mean, like, dear God. So, and then, you and I were doing the YouTube stuff and the demo things and the fitness and nutrition and so much resonance there, which is just, oh my gosh. Doesn't it feel like a lifetime ago?
Well, and I chased out of parks, like from police officers, and I'm all like, throwing my weights in the back of my car, racing off because I was like, okay, we don't have time. Like, we got to go. Like, there's just so many things that you just figure it out and do it. And you look back and you're like, what a mess. But like, it was a full mess. And it got me to where I am today,
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, fast forward to today, you and we came together through an event you were hosting. And it was really cool because it was actually my first live speaking engagement. I feel like I had been ready to do that before that, but COVID and everything was basically shut down, right? And you come out of the gates hosting, it was your first live event, and it was like you had been doing it forever as well. It was so fucking cool. You had Yaya there doing
Yeah.
like opening for everybody.
Like rapping on the stage. Yeah. And he wasn't actually supposed to host it. It was someone else. And a week before she got detained in Canada, and he's like, I got you. And I was like, okay, this is a women's event. And I don't know how I feel about this. And I was just like, you know what? Let's just roll the dice and see what happens. And it made it because it was showing women like, this is a powerful man. And this is what it looks like to be led, the right way. It was just so cool. And when I was looking at your social, I'm like, I love her. She needs to be a keynote speaker. And you come on there and you just like crushed it. And later you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do more of that. But you had never done it, but it seemed like you'd done it your whole life. It was so magical. And I was like, I'm coming to Atlanta for a photo shoot and we need to have dinner. And when we had that conversation, it was like you were speaking my language because I am an achievement. What am I? What's my thing? Achiever archetype.
Oh, in the anxious achiever archetype.
Archetype.
You are in, it's the urgent one, and it's slipping my mind right now, but it's more in the dominant flight response tends to be your historic default. Like, I gotta go, 100%. I gotta hurry up, like everything has to get done yesterday.
100%. And it was so interesting because this is how God works. Right before we had dinner, I had this epiphany that I have this underlying feeling of being unsafe. I could be sitting in the living room watching TV with my family and I feel unsafe. And I was like, what? Like, where does that come from? And so when we were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, there's something, it's that fight or flight, always feeling like something's wrong. So really an amazing moment to come together and meet you because I was at a place in my business where I wanted to burn the whole thing down, burn the whole fucking thing down. And you're like, hey, let's not burn it down. Let's take a step here. Let's figure out what's going on. And I'm happy to say the company is doing incredible. I have my dream team. I am just like over the moon with where we're at, what the direction we're going in. We've had so many like big things that we have to work through and I felt equipped to do it. And it was just all because of that conversation. So I think there's a lot of women out there that are achievement oriented, that are go, 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 hustle, drive. And I'm working on my calendar right now. It's a work in progress. But I think that so many of us, we aren't in touch, honestly, with how we really feel. And what I mean by not like, oh, I feel sad, but like what's going on when we're making decisions and when we're creating boundaries or, having a tough conversation, courageous conversation, or letting a staff member go, like all these decisions that we make. How many decisions do we make a day? It's got to be like thousands, right? And so if you're just operating out of, fear, or you're just not in touch with how you really feel, you're not making the best decisions to support yourself. So that I just want to thank you for all of everything that you've helped me. But like, I'm a different person, but I want others to know that like, this is the work that you do. It's helped me so much, change my life in all regards.
Well, you're so fun to work with. I mean, and really what you're speaking to when you said specifically, like, I know I can handle it, you're speaking to that resiliency that our nervous system is capable of doing. And when we expand our somatic capacity, we are less likely to go into overwhelm because our system can handle all of that, and it can handle more. And we also don't lose connection to ourselves in the process of more, right? Despite there being fires to put out, despite lifing. And I did remember the anxious achiever archetype is the futurist that you tend to default to.
I'm always like, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Right.
All the time. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it's not about, and we've talked about this, it's not about learning how to sit on a mountain and meditate and not do the what's next ever, but it's getting to a place within yourself to understand, where am I making decisions from so that they can be higher quality and I can actually slow down and fucking like it and it feel good.
Yes, totally. And also too, what's really cool, and I don't even know if we talked about this, but I've been having, we did. I've been having these moments of like sheer like ecstasy, but not like sexual. Also have that too. Lots of that. Thanks to you, but like, I mean, all the things, but like without like sexual ecstasy, but like literally so much joy that I'm like, I can be brushing my teeth and I'm just like full of gratitude. Like my tears come. I'm like that actually happened to me earlier today. And I was like, I'm trying to put my eyeliner and I'm like, not now. But like these moments of like so much fulfillment and contentment and just joy from the moment, not because I got an award, which I like that. And that's always going to be a part of it. But I mean, honestly, that's all that I could go by before. I had to get the awards. I had to get the book shown up, the magazine, the social media feedback that post was awesome. And I had 100 comments. Now I'm finding pure joy in like the everyday. Like, isn't that so cool? I think that's just
so cool. Yeah. It's this sense of aliveness, right?
Yes.
And we start to just let go and strip away the layers of the things that have never really been us, but that have been kind of subconsciously driving with our foot on this gas pedal we can't see for so long. And that's a scary place, actually. Like, I think it's such a testimony for the woman that you are, because there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, right? Mm-hmm. To manage multi-million dollars, like to have a team of people that you're responsible for their paycheck, to have homes, plural, to have 2 girls, to be the breadwinner. Like, there's a different level of responsibility that comes with being a woman like that. Mm-hmm. And to say, you know what, like, I'm willing to do it a different way. And although I'm noticing in myself, I want to burn it the fuck down. Do I? And like, let's explore that, because that's a really interesting transition, because what we're really asking is, how can I keep the success I've created, the money that I'm making, maintain the lifestyle I love living without resenting my job or without wanting to burn it down? And is that even possible? Maybe we burn it down, but maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah. But to be able to pause and ask yourself, because there's a girl I was just talking to, and she said that because I'm also in the network marketing space, and she had built a really successful team. And she said, and then something happened personally, and I just let the whole thing crumble. And I was like, how often does that happen, where life happens and we just say, okay, right, let's not handle it right now. And instead to say, well, am I choosing this chaos and this overwhelm over what I really want? Like, there's no pausing. Like, where's the space to actually like reflect? And that's, I would say, is the biggest thing, is teaching me how to create space to pause. I mean, I had something last week. I took an entire day to respond to something. That's not normal. Usually it's like, and I was like, well, let me sit with this for real and decide who I really feel. And it was actually a totally different response than it would have been if I just would have knee jerk. Because the knee jerk is people pleasing. The knee jerk is surface. The knee jerk is old patterns. And then when you pause and create space, you can really go inward and say, how do I really feel? What do I really want? And then you can have more of what you really want.
So that is so cool, because that knee jerk that most people know so often and so well is actually so automatic and so unconscious. We don't know we've done it until it's done, right? It's in retrospect. We're like, I knew I probably shouldn't have hired that team person. Like, I knew months ago before when I was interviewing them, or, I had a feeling, right?
Oh yeah. I had a feeling. How many times do we say that? Oh, I had a feeling. Okay.
Yeah.
Your feeling was right.
Yeah. And like slowing down, not to just make a decision, but to make higher quality ones, because that's the level that you're at and what it requires.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Also too, I want to mention, because I think with somatic work, people think it is, like you said, like we're meditating and all is well. No, what I've learned is when I feel anxious, I am anxiety. Like, I have anxiety. Okay, a lot of people have anxiety. What I've learned is, I get sad, or I learn that I'm going to sit with that feeling, and I'm going to let it be. Or if I want to cry, like my girls now, I used to be like, okay, stop crying, it's okay. Now I'm like, let it flow. Like, you know how you said it's like tears or like comfort your heart. I'm like, let it out. What is it? Like, keep going, like cry, let it out. And so it's so cleansing. But what happens is now, instead of it ruining me for days, or what did you call it? You're judging your feelings about your feelings. More than I'm anxious, damn it. I'm feeling depressed. Now I feel it and I acknowledge it. And I'm like, okay, what do I need right now to just take care of myself? And it just moves along so much quicker. I think you say it flows through you. That's so amazing, because all of us are going around judging our feelings. That doesn't make any sense. Would you judge your kids' feelings? Like, don't freaking be sad? No, you'd be like, it's okay. So that's helped a ton too, to like realize like, I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to feel anxious. You're not like this bulletproof unicorn that just goes around like co-creating. Like, it's not like we're humans having a human experience.
Yeah, right. Totally. And in our sessions, it's two nervous systems that are shared, yours and mine, right? Where the healing and the co-regulation can occur. So I'm holding the space for your experience. I'm not choosing to join or merge you in it, right? But we allow it. And it's funny, by allowing it, we're able to flow through it faster with less resistance. It's almost like the avoidance of the feeling itself is the tension, right?
Yes.
And so learning that, hey, wait a minute, I can handle this. Like I can be with this. It's tolerable. And also this feels like an appropriate response. Like, what if I just allowed it versus tried to run away from, cope, avoid? And those are unconscious behaviors, but that is where we narrow our window of tolerance, right? We basically create an experience where we don't feel like we can handle it. And then we go into overwhelm at the littlest thing.
Yeah. And or suppress it, and you're suppressing your emotions. And I think that, so say you're, as an alcoholic, like I can really relate with wanting that glass of wine to take the edge off. So when you're escaping, you're just suppressing it. It's not like it's going to go away. It's actually worse, because then you wake up the next morning like, what did I do? I drank a whole bottle of wine, or whatever. But you still have the problem, the issue, whatever it is, because you pushed it down. And I think that that's also why people struggle with issues with their health and, just overall vitality. We're just kind of suppressing it. Instead, we want to let it flow through us.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. What did you think somatic work was before we started working together? Because I remember at the sushi dinner, we had a really great conversation. By the way, if you live in Atlanta or you come through Atlanta, you've got to go to Umi Sushi, UMI. It's so good. But I remember you being like, this is the thing I know I needed, but I didn't know the name of. Like I did. That's kind of something how you said it. What did you think somatic work was before we started working together?
So I was looking for a keynote speaker, and I was asking around, and this Missy that we both know, she was like, oh, you got to go check out Keri. So of course I fell in love instantly because it's energy, but I was looking at your bio and it said, somatic. And I'm like, right away, I was like, I don't know what that is, but I feel like I should know. Like if that's like her title and she's awesome, like I should know what somatic is. So I Googled it before I reached out to you. And whatever it said, I still wasn't making the connection. It was like something like your nervous system. And I'm like, nervous system. And I have PhDs in natural health and holistic nutrition. So when I think about nervous system, I think about health, right? And, then I was thinking about the body, not like feelings and connecting to your body. And I was like, that's kind of weird. But I was like, but she's awesome. So I'm going to reach out. And we did our Zoom and I was like, I love you. So I knew you had to be a part of it and can speak. I just knew. But I actually it didn't really click until we had dinner and you were talking about a lady you work with and how, she was really operating out of in that fight or flight all the time. And I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, that revelation of feeling unsafe all the time clicked with me with what you were saying about her. It was like, that's why it's powerful to share stories, because I was like, I saw myself in her. And when you saw, you shared what the work you've done together helped her, I was like, oh, I don't fully understand this, but I trust you. I believe in what you're sharing. And I feel called, to really get into this and figure it out. And I will say, yes, you have different things people can jump into, but if you can do it, it's so powerful to be able to work one-on-one with you. It's like, and we meet every week. Well, that's also powerful because you think weekly. No, it's a full, we're doing, it's so crazy. And now I'll go through things and I'm like, okay, I've noticed this, and I'll come and I'll say, hey, I noticed this and I self-coach myself through it. And this is what came of it. So it's like constantly like observing and noticing and learning between the sessions. Like it's not just, you have your hour and you're full for the week or whatever. Like it's practical application. And this is like, I'm 43 years old. This is 43 years of programming because we've inherited stuff too, right? Like this is not something you just watch a masterclass and you got it. You got to really roll up your sleeves and do the work.
Yeah, it's not something, it's like talking about success and feeling successful. That's kind of the difference, right? And I'm just using that as it could be joy,
Yes.
For example. I could talk about joy, but if I feel joyful, that's a different experience. So being in the seat and really feeling it in your body and, doing doing the somatic work while we're in session, feeling it is a whole different level.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Yeah. And it's, like I said, it's just that deeper level of satisfaction. And also too, money is something that, is a big part of our lives as entrepreneurs. And I assume a lot of the ladies listening are entrepreneurs. And, if you make up good money, but you feel like it's all going to go away, or you worry, or how are you going to get, then you have to launch again, all of these things around money impact your day-to-day happiness. And when you realize like it's commerce, we're building businesses, we're making money. This is a huge part of our identity is money. And then knowing like your relationship with it. And so being able to like come to you and say, this is a huge area of growth for me that I want to feel confident. I know I can make money, but I want to feel confident in my ability to keep it. And being able to identify like just little things where you're like, okay, let's celebrate that. Like you created that income and you kept that income and we're going to keep, growing it. But being able to see all of the root beliefs around it, like, oh my gosh, when I was 16, that happened. And in my mind, that meant this. And so as an entrepreneur, I mean, your happiness is so dictated by what's next and it's launched and it's thing and all of that. You can never feel content if you're just always, going after the next thing. So learning how to feel content, learning how to be grateful for what you've created, to say, and also by working with you, I realized I don't want a $10 million company. Now, I'm not saying I don't want money. I welcome it, universe, but
we receive,
like, bring it on, show me the money. So I'm welcoming that. And what I realized, and this was so powerful, we worked on, what do I need to feel like my family's taken care of? And then I can give generously what people need. And I found a number and I was like, and I met with my husband. I was like, that's it. And it took all the pressure off. Like, why do we have to just think we have to be billionaires to be happy? Like, we don't. Like, we can literally say, I have a beautiful boutique business and I do really well. My family's taken care of, I can give. But then there's just this, like, that feeling of like race goes away. And it's more like, what can I do now? This is so fun. I'm taken care of,
Yeah. So that futurist, right? The anxious achiever archetype that we identified as your dominant archetype, right? That's historically the dominant stress response that you have in those moments. Like, I have to create more money so that I can keep what I've made and I can make sure I always have more coming in. And when we notice that we're coming from that space, like somatically, we can feel it in our body. You started to recognize like feelings that went with that when it came online. You're able to self-coach and regulate and basically create a new pattern or a new association, which is, this isn't what success requires anymore. And did you lose money by doing that, by slowing down or making decisions differently?
No, I'm making more money and keeping more of it. Coach like totally shifted the whole thing. Yeah. And I think it also makes a difference for my team, because if you are achievement oriented, you're probably pushing your team pretty hard, right? So for them to know, okay, we're going to do a really good job with what we do, high quality. We call it gold digger experience, noticing the difference here. And that way it takes the pressure off them as well. And then they're more likely to be happier, go all in, retention improves, right? So the whole team is working differently together. I've noticed it's very much like they're coming up with ideas and they're excited. And that's me letting go, of some control too. But when I take that pressure off of myself, I can take it off of them. And so it's going to impact, the whole, my day to day. I mean, this is what I do, right? I'm a business owner, like a lot of you. So if you feel like you're not getting it with the team, you maybe look at yourself, like, how much pressure are you putting on yourself? Pressure, there's obviously deadlines and stuff like that, but real pressure, we're so hard on ourselves. It's crazy. So to say, well, what does success really mean to me? Why am I pushing so hard? What is it even for? When does it end? Is there a finish line? Maybe we could just enjoy the entire process.
Totally. And I love that you brought up the team, because I think so often, like the Taylor Swift songs playing in my head, the anti-hero, where it's like, yes, hi, I'm the problem, it's me. And that plays so often in my mind, especially when we talk about team building or team management or leadership, because it's like how often, or so many of us go through these hiring and firing cycles and we're like, this person is just not I just can't seem to find the right person for this role. And then we're like, oh, what's the common denominator here? Maybe it's me. Like, who am I being as a leader when I'm hiring these people, when I'm firing them? Like, what's actually happening here? And these dynamics that are continuing to like loop and pattern. So I'm curious, do you have any experiences with that in your team building, or how have you seen like a before and after transformation, if at all, with that?
Yeah, I mean, for most people, they all have, everyone has at least one virtual assistant. And when a newer person who's building their team out, they're like, I just can't find a good VA. And I'm like, or do you not know how to set them up for success? Like, onboard them, all the things. It's usually us, right? But I did have a situation that you helped me with. And it was interesting because I identified somebody that was very much like me and would be able to do a lot of the things that I do. And instead of looking at that going, oh my goodness, she has all these ideas, she's creative, she can like offset some of the stuff I'm doing, give me more independence. I looked at it like, why is she always like noticing things need to be improved? I'm like, okay, that's me. That's who I am. I'm improving every 5 seconds. So I literally was like, why are you being like that? And then we were talking about it and you're like, she's a lot like you. And I was like, oh shit, she does sound like a lot like me. Maybe that's a freaking blessing. And so being able to work with her, get to know her, really build a good relationship with her so we could trust each other. Oh my gosh, pure magic. Like I literally am like, oh my gosh, I can see light at the end of the tunnel. I don't have to be the one doing all the things, right? So I'm so excited about that. I mean, I could have lost her. She could have been like, I'm not fulfilled here. I'm out, right? And luckily we were able to turn that around.
Did you move her into a different role, or did you expand the role she was in? Did you promote her? What did that look like?
We promoted her. Mm-hmm. But we had some hard parts. Yeah. I was like, hey, this is what I see for you. And this is what I need from you. I need, communication. I need you to trust me. And I want to work on trusting you. Like it was like a hardcore couple of conversations. And it was great because it allowed her to say, and I hear what you're saying, that this is how I need to be supported. And I was like, okay, we can do that. And it was so amazing for us to just vocalize what we both needed to make this relationship really powerful. And I mean, it's just literally a totally different vibe.
So amazing. Oh my gosh. I want to talk more about like what's coming up for you and how you serve women that know that they've got a dream on their heart, something that, and you and I have been there before. We're like, I know I'm called to do some really cool things, but like starting out, it's challenging. Like you kind of have to borrow your coach's belief for a little while till you realize, oh yeah, I can do this. I can make money. That's not an issue. But tell me about some of the things that you're excited about and that you're offering, like women that are listening right now that are like, yeah, I'm just starting out. Like I want to go deeper into the online space and really elevate my company or start one. What does that look like and how can they work with you?
Yeah, for sure. So my favorite thing to do is to teach people how to find what their personal brand is. And we all know what branding is, but what I mean by that is really clearly figuring out who you are, who you serve, and how you help them. So if I gave you 3 hours on stage at the next conference we do, what would you talk about? And people were like, lashes. I'm like, no, you wouldn't freaking talk about lashes for 3 hours. What would you really talk about? And they're like, well, I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life and I've overcome that. And I want to show women that they can do anything they want. Okay, now we're talking. So really, it's a challenging experience for most people. So they just go from Instagram training to TikTok training. They're bouncing all over the place because they're looking outside of themselves. And I'm like, no, it's already in here. We just have to tap into it and figure it out. And then how do we position you on social media so you can attract the people you want to work with? And then obviously, basically with social media, you can attract the exact people you want to work with, nurture them. I use Facebook groups mostly to teach people how to do value and things like that. So I'm most excited to figure out what is your thing, and how can we monetize that? And then teaching people the fundamentals of bringing an offer to market, getting yourself set up. So yeah, I have I have a book. It's a #1 international bestseller called Boss It Up, Babe. It's all about personal branding, online space. So I can give you the link for that. We can give that to them.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes, guys. So you can get Kimberly's book. Yeah. That's awesome. And then what about programs they can currently enroll in?
So we have a membership club. So for someone who's just brand new, I'm talking you barely having, your Facebook account up. So it's called Scale on Social. And then we have 3 group coaching programs are all a year commitment. And those are for those that are getting to their first 6 figures, then scaling to multiple. And then some want to work with me directly where they're like, I want to do what you've done. So we have that as an option too. But yeah, you guys can connect with me if you want more info.
So awesome. So if you're just beginning, there's a calling on your heart for more, like Kimberly is absolutely going to be the best place to start. And what I love that you actually have a year-long container. As you know, you and I are working together minimum a year, right? And I love the long containers because it takes a little bit to get to know someone, right? For me, you're the edges of your nervous system, but for you, potentially like clients to kind of work through some of the process, right? Get deeper awareness. But beyond that, it's just a really beautiful container. And I feel like a lot of beginners get caught up in, I'm just going to do this like 7-day challenge, or I'm going to like download this, taste of something. But like when you do that, every time you do that, you're undercutting the bigness of your dreams and the calling that God's placed on your heart, because you're only dipping your toe in the water. Like go fucking all in. Go all in.
Yes. And really, at the end of the day, it comes down to your belief in yourself. And you always say this to me of what kind of woman are you committed to being? So I think of that. Like I just DM'd someone and she wanted to get on my schedule. And I go, I'm working with my coach right now. And I'm committed to having this, amount of appointments. And I'm booked through Q2. When I said that to her, I'm committed to being that kind of woman to honor my schedule. So just ask yourself, how committed are you? And if you're committed to yourself and really ready to do this, you'll be able to easily make a commitment for a year.
Yeah, that for me, like when I made the decision to go all in, and it wasn't a year-long program, it was an 8-week program, but it was $5,000. So for me, it was the money and I paid in full. That was my yes to myself. It had less to do with what was inside the program, although I'm sure yours is like really incredible and exponentially better, especially after a year. Like you are a content queen and such a powerhouse with all of that. But that for me was like the actual thing that moved the needle, was saying yes to myself on a bigger level. And that's where the belief starts. So hopefully those of you that are listening, like, gosh, a year, like that seems like a big commitment. Yeah, it is. But that's women like us. That's the game that we play, right? So if you want to be in that seat and you want to vote yourself into those circles, it starts with making those higher level decisions that require you to go all the fuck in.
Amen. Yeah. You nailed it.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite ice cream flavor. I love asking random questions that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Chocolate chip cookie dough. Yeah.
I'm like weird and I eat the Play-Doh colored ones like cotton candy. Like my mouth will be like purple. Oh, I know.
Okay.
Or I don't know if anyone grew up with Friendlies. Did you grow up with Friendlies? The restaurant?
Oh.
You're like, what is that? It's like okay. So it's what is it?
Is it like a Denny's?
It's like a Ruby Tuesdays.
Okay.
So they had like this cone head. It was on the kids menu. I got it through like 8th grade. It's a cone head and I would get coffee ice cream and they put a sugar cone upside down, like the cone, like the hat of the clown. And then the ear or the fluffy stuff on the hat, it was like whipped cream on either side. And there were 2 Reese's Pieces. I know this is Kimberly's face is like, what the fuck? There's like 2 Reese's Pieces as the eyes. And then I would get gummy bears in it. I love gummy bears and ice cream.
What is Addison? Must be a thing.
Sounds disgusting. I promise it's so good.
It sounds difficult to eat. That's what I was thinking. Like, how are you even tackling this thing? Did you have like a bib? You're like, here, ma'am, here's your carrot.
I mean, you put the cone to the side. I would eat probably the eyes first. And then like the gummy bears were underneath, but they would get kind of hard because they were in the cold, right? In the cold ice cream, but it was good. So I'm just like kind of weird with that.
Your own, so that's done.
Okay. One place that you want to travel to that you haven't yet.
I want to go to Norway. My husband's half Italian, half Norwegian. I've been to Europe a few times, but I haven't been up there and I want to go see that area.
I didn't know he was half Italian. My maiden name is Italian. I'm Italian, so I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool. Norway. Okay. All right. Let's see. One more question that's super random and crazy. I just love throwing these in. There's no sheet that I have in front of me. I'm not like, what's my, like, you know how people finish out their podcast and they always ask the same question?
Oh, mhm.
Right. Oh, okay. I will ask one I've asked this before, but I do like it. What move are you making this week that's literally first class?
Ooh, I love that. I am taking Friday off and I'm spending it with my daughters and my mom. She's here to visit, and it just feels just amazing just to take the whole day off and not even twist about it.
Oh, fuck yes. I love that. Slowing down and it feeling good.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we'll drop those links in the show notes for you guys. Don't forget to get Dr. Kimberly's book and then also check out her programs. Again, if you're starting your business, this is a great place to start and you are in amazing hands. And I love you, and I'll see you on Thursday for our sesh.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed your flight, and I'll see you on board again soon.
Seriously, though, thanks for listening. If you're ready to take this work deeper and upgrade your mind, I want to invite you to join us inside my Millionaire Mindset program. This is where you'll start using my guided meditations to help you overcome anxiety and experience even more abundance. When you join, you'll have access to my entire audio library. Head over to elevatewithkeri.com and we'll see you inside.